All right, welcome back to AI for 2021. I hope you're enjoying yourself so far. Our next speaker is Alana Cento. She is the Senior Product Marketing Manager at Sinequa. Please join me in welcoming Alana to our virtual stage.
Thank you so much, Patricia. I'm really excited to be here. As she said, my name is Alana Cento. I am on the product marketing team here at Sinequa. Sinequa is an intelligent search provider who provides large, complex organizations with the information that they need via search to make more informed decisions. So I want to level set a little bit here. The crisis in this last year has really started a new wave of innovation. Technologies are being invested in more and more. And according to this McKinsey report, between Q3 2020 and Q3 2019, the number of business applications have doubled for manufacturers. So really major investments in digital tools, in automation, in AI, which we'll talk a bit more about. And these investments were really made, mainly to improve the productivity of teams as teams shrunk, as things got more distributed, suppliers changed, demand changed, just the ways of working have completely shifted, of course. But the main investments when it comes to productivity were really to decrease operational costs versus adding new technology to really improve top line revenue in addition to driving innovation. So we'll talk a bit more about that. And these were, as I said, it's around 60%. They were intended to really cut costs. So in addition to this, there's increasing competition, there's increasing pressure on manufacturers to innovate. Customer demands are rising and also pressure on time to market. There's a need for speed. People need to work faster while also seeing a shifting workforce. And what's really needed, we talked to a number of manufacturers that we work with, and they're really looking for, in addition to everything they're doing around their digital transformation, they really need to future-proof the systems that they have. They really need to break down silos, and they need to be able to foster innovation all across the organization. But how ready are manufacturers to do this? So according to another McKinsey report, 80% of manufacturers consider digital manufacturing and design to be a critical driver of competitiveness. However, only about 13% report that their organization's digital capabilities are of high value or where they need them to be. So there's a huge gap between those that are innovating and really competitive, those really big players, and then the ones who are kind of left behind and they aren't advancing their their digital transformations or the tools that they have in order to be able to drive that innovation. And there's increasing pressure on the workforce. So this is a lot of the cause behind their ability to be able to address these challenges, to be able to make new innovative decisions and ideas. So first of all, an explosion of data. If you're doubling the number of business applications, you're doubling the number of systems that you have, and there's really the growing masses of data across all different disjointed systems in a lot of cases. And for the most part, this is mainly unstructured data. It doesn't fit neatly into content. It's in emails, it's in CAD data. It is scattered all across the organization, and it's hard to surface when it's unstructured, which we'll talk a lot more about. Also, of course, new ways of working. So information that's needed to make decisions, that's needed to innovate, isn't just waiting in a database for people to uncover. Knowledge is being shared, information is being shared on the fly, especially through things like Slack or other systems. So people expect it to be really at the tip of their fingers. And based on what I said earlier with an increase in business applications, employees today are switching between at least 35 job critical applications. That's 1,100 times a day. So with this increased pressure to make decisions faster, they deal with more and more systems that are helping, of course, but it's also adding to a lot of the pains in, in those masses of data, in spending a lot of time working across all these different digital tools. So to the point that we're really trying to get to, I am going to talk a bit about how A number of different manufacturers that we work with are able to drive innovation by turning data into insights. So I want to look to one of our customers, Northrop Grumman. They're a multinational aerospace and defense organization. They have over 900,000 employees. And like many organizations, they face challenges taking the information that lives in the organization, taking data and actually turning it into insights and what they call institutional memory that lives within, that was really difficult to access. And what they needed was, one, access to stored knowledge. Two, really promote content engagement. So getting people to, not only getting the right technology in place to be able to access information and knowledge, but really a culture shift, promoting people to engage with content, to share it, to create it. And ultimately, probably most importantly, not just be able to access these insights, but be able to gain really specific business insights that help them innovate. Northrop Grumman is a very innovative company that really stands at the forefront of aerospace and defense. So they have a big need as a company to be able to drive innovation for them. And their approach, so they chose to work with Sinequa as their intelligence search provider because we were the only partner that was able to have these built-in, really powerful capabilities to be able to surface insights, but also very customizable so that it would meet the needs of their business, which I'll go into a little bit more detail after this. But let's take a look at what they did exactly. So they took a really lean approach. They were very heavy on user testing to be able to understand the ways that their employees needed to search and the decisions that they needed to make. They were building prototypes and iterating on them very quickly from a search perspective and testing out what users needed. So I'll look a little bit at some of the main sort of features that they uncovered through this user testing. So they kind of realized that there's a huge social aspect to knowledge sharing. They created what they call social features in order to be able to get people to, one, share knowledge. So sharing explicit and implicit knowledge via a comments functionality that allowed them to comment on specific pieces, be able to share it, also be able to link different pieces that were related. One of the probably the most requested feature was being able to easily share and save queries and research results that they were actively and regularly using. Engaging quickly with points of contact. So expertise that lived within Northrop Grumman, people needed to be able to find that quickly, find the work that they've done, and quickly engage with those points of contact. And finally, from an administrator perspective, reporting that shows user engagement so that they could continue to improve. For all of the manufacturers that we speak with, it's not a one and done approach to search. They're constantly doing improvements and making a better user experience. So to talk quickly about the value of enterprise search for an organization that is really focused on innovation. So first of all, improving information quality, consistency, and reuse. We hear often, especially with many manufacturers that have been around for decades, that things get outdated quickly. They're hard to trust when you find multiple versions. So search really helps to create that single source of truth we hear often, minimizing the use of both inaccurate but also incomplete information. Boosting productivity. So this is really the main driver, the main metric that's being attributed especially to innovation. So making it easily accessible, regardless of where it lives, that employees can make the best decisions that they possibly can. And finally, uncover expertise. So find information created by experts, really without needing to know who it is or where to find it. I think we all have company directories. You can find people in Microsoft Teams, through Slack, if you know who it is that you're looking for. But oftentimes, especially when we're working digitally and we can't just walk down the hall and find the people that we need, we have specific topics and jobs to be done, of course, and we need to be able to find the people who have that know-how and have that experience and find the work that they've done. And to speak a little bit to how it works, so intelligence search, there's obviously a lot of intelligence behind it. I think that, we hear a lot that there's definitely a misconception to search. It's very basic. It just creates that entry point to information. But, there could be hundreds, thousands of results with any search. I'm going to talk a little bit about how we actually are able to make it intelligent and why it's important. So first of all, step one is, of course, to connect to data and content sources. So both internal sources, but also from a design or an R&D perspective, external sources, where information is critical to bring in, like what competitors are doing or patent information that you might not be able to find within. And from there, automatically organizing and enriching it. So I mentioned earlier that we have structured content that's documentation, but for most manufacturers, over 70% of the data that lives within is unstructured. So it's really hard to surface those insights. So being able to automatically organize that data and enrich it and make it discoverable. And finally, the intelligence piece. So having both content intelligence, being able to do things like entity extraction, privacy rules, and then also understanding user intent. So context is everything when it comes to any part of our job, but also search. Being able to understand the intent of what that user is trying to find, be able to learn from it, and be able to deliver the best search results and the best information as quickly as possible. And one thing that we often hear from our customers too is that you think about the search functionalities that live within the different applications that you have, and every single user has the same experience. But one of the most important things for manufacturers especially is that there can be a lot of friction for anyone's job as they're looking across all these different applications and trying to piece together information and data. But being able to present information in a way that aligns with how specific functions make decisions, whether it's research, whether it is building a new product, fixing a new product. If they're learning, they're new employee to the company. They need someone an auditor that needs to investigate an issue or support a customer. So there are a number of different jobs. Most of our customers have multiple apps. Some have hundreds that address different needs for different departments. And this is a really valuable piece of what intelligent search and what Sinequa's platform can provide. So I want to look at an example of this for a specific job. So we're looking at an engineer who needs to be able to access specific part information. Maybe they need to reuse it in a project. Maybe they're a field engineer who's looking for information for one of their customers or suppliers. And they need access to a number of different data sources: part data, CAD models, customer-specific information, maybe set processes, related issues if they're trying to fix a part and they want to learn quickly and find other issues that were similar to this. They can solve it quickly. So what they need is, one, be able to connect all these different systems. We hear often that by the time an engineer is able to collect all the information, maybe the opportunity is passed or it's already been fixed. So being able to connect systems, being able to turn that data into information, into insights, make it accessible, and then also ensure that information's accuracy. I mentioned that it's easy to lose trust of specific information if it exists in multiple formats, if you've found outdated information in the past. So ensuring that it's accurate, especially when it comes to manufacturing and really high risk projects and high cost projects. So I want to look at kind of what that view that an engineer would have, what it would look like. So this is a very high level overview of what this engineer might be able to see when they search for a specific part. They're able to gain a 360-degree view of what they need and coming from a number of different systems. So first, the general information, of course, really having that context that they need, specific product events. So where was it used? What issues happened in the past? What parts or components are within the specific product? And what kind of changes happened? Were there issues that were in the past? Were there specific projects that it was used on? So being able to kind of dig into it there. So this is something that is highly customizable. It's an example that we typically will show, and there are a number of different things that can be pulled into this to provide an engineer, whatever department it is, be able to surface this information quickly. So this is one of the probably more common use cases within manufacturing, being able to find these parts easily. So I want to kind of look at some of the key business results for a customer of ours who's a semiconductor manufacturer. They had a very specific use case or solution that they needed for field engineers who were going out and servicing their different customers. And what they were finding when they initially came to Sinequa was that they had a really high cost of returned parts. And they found, as they dug into it, they found that their field engineers who were on site searching for replacement parts were ordering the wrong parts. They had, lack of information on the part that was needed. And they found that, the main reason was that they were uninformed about the types of parts that they actually needed. So the solution, having a search application for their field engineers, really helped them to extract more actionable insights when the majority of their data, 70% of it, was unstructured. And our customer said, who's the head of knowledge and learning, said that there's a critical gap between structured and unstructured data. Getting a qualitative understanding of all of these different systems where information lives is crucial especially for field engineers. And they found that one, improved employee satisfaction, but also greatly improved their productivity, and ultimately, of course, reduced the number of returned parts. So just to touch on a little bit about what makes Sinequa unique in the enterprise search or cognitive search market. So recently, Forrester came out with their most recent 2021 wave, saying that Sinequa really makes search strategic. Why? Because we're able to deliver really high value use cases to support unique and also complex search needs. Sinequa thrives on complexity, unstructured data, as I mentioned. So if this is, and really, really unique use cases that are needed. So all of our customers have very different use cases, and they have the ability to be able to take those and to be able to customize them. We're built for global companies. So we started in linguistics, back when Sinequa was first born, and we support the most human languages compared to any search provider. Provide actionable insights, so 360-degree views, as I just showed you, provides all the information that's needed to do any job. We have the strongest current offering and strategic roadmap that is really designed to align with what our customers need, along with the flexible architecture. So we're not forcing any of our customers to move to the cloud. We support on-prem, we support cloud, of course, or even a hybrid infrastructure. And all of this is according to our customers. We are trusted by the world's largest manufacturing organizations, also in pharmaceuticals. And some of the key business outcomes that we're able to deliver are, one, optimizing the use of spare parts. It's very expensive to create new parts and components. It also introduces risk. When you're building anything new, there's always risk. So optimizing part reuse, save R&D and design time, so productivity there. Avoiding mistakes and delays in time to market, minimizing duplicate work, duplicate documentation, improve, as I just showed you, field engineers' productivity, and also ultimately customer satisfaction. So being able to have that view of what customers need, but also their background, so that they can deliver products faster, they can innovate faster, they can support their customers better. So these are just a couple of the areas where we are really able to, where we've been proven to help our customers. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly or visit us at Sinequa.com. And thank you all so much for joining. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference, and hope to meet you one day. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Alana. That was amazing. And I know this virtual audience is going wild with virtual applause. Thank you so much for sharing these insights with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, it's our pleasure. For the audience, it's time for you to make your way to your next session. Along the way, make sure you accept your connection request and take some time to check out our amazing exhibits. Thanks so much, and we'll see you around.